Uncle Mark,
Yes.
as is stated at the beginning of this show, this show is meant to help people stepping out into a larger, better world,
Yes.
and leaving elements of religion behind. And there are many things that I miss more, and many things that I miss less. But one I probably
And I
miss
shall
the
list them
most.
all in order now.
And here we go.
Yeah.
One I probably missed the least was the music.
I am going to agree with you there. I was not a lover of the music of the soundtrack to Mormonism. In my opinion, is a dismal one.
Yeah, and we don't get any of the great Southern Baptist revivalist fun stuff.
It's an organ grinder without the payoff of a monkey. Yeah.
Oh boy.
But
The Dan,
let's
I know
talk
you
about
did.
it.
You enjoyed some of the Mormon music.
I'll say this. It's funny because you guys, when on further inspection of the music itself, you guys are more correct than I am. And we can get into that.
I mean, that's just kind of a blanket statement.
I'm
but
I am going to be
applies
talking
to music here. Yeah.
I am going to be talking about church music here.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I discovered as I was researching this is that I went to different websites that aren't Mormon, that just talk about like Christian music or whatever, and I would find these recordings of church music, and I'd be like, and every now and then I'd play a recording, and it would be of a hymn that we did in Mormon church, because some of them are some of Mormon
older
hymns
Christian hymns, right?
are just older Christian hymns.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, whoa, you guys are going way too fast with that. And then I just went, at some point I just went, oh, fuck. No, of course we went too slow.
We were the baddies.
It's fucking Mormonism.
Yeah.
Of course everything was way
You got
too
to
slow.
slow it down for Mormonism, baby.
But, I wasn't raised on the kids' rock and roll. I was raised on like opera and classical stuff. So that's that. So I think I had a higher tolerance.
Was pop music excluded from your youth?
It was not purposefully.
Oh.
It's just that my parents were both like really old when they had me, and that's what they loved.
They had that kind of taste. Yeah.
Yeah. So they weren't into all of these young people with their Elvis and their Beatles or whatever.
And the Ink Spots and the Weavers.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Look, I don't know. So yes, I love music. Specifically, I actually really enjoy making music, and I love singing, especially love singing in harmony with other people.
We've seen you sing on stage, and you can carry a tune.
I'm not bad. I'm not
bad.
terrible. But singing with people feels awesome, and it sounds good, and I almost never get to do it anymore. Sure, pre-COVID, there were the occasional karaoke moments, and as you mentioned, I am a stage performer, so every now and then people actually pay to hear me sing, and then, unlike you, probably learn not to repeat that mistake. But
Well, I know where this is going. I'm ready. Islands in the Stream. Do you want the Dolly part or the Kenny part?
I want both.
Oh, fuck.
We'll do that later. I actually heard both of our spouses do that song together at karaoke.
Oh,
by the way.
Islands in the Stream.
Yeah. Jesse and Andrea did a bang up Islands in the Stream.
Oh, nice.
When you had gone to bed when we were all in Savannah, Georgia. Anyway,
Okay, gotcha.
beside the point. The truth is that the vast majority of my experience singing with other people has been in religious contexts. First, it was children's church songs, then grown-up hymns, or singing Christmas carols, sometimes around the piano at home, sometimes roving about the neighborhood, freezing our asses off while inflicting our melodies on unsuspecting acquaintances. But that was the bulk of it. Other than 1 year of high school choir and the odd musical here and there, that's basically all the communal singing I've done. Now, I suppose that if we lived in Victorian times, we might sing more. They didn't have Netflix. They needed the entertainment. But in a modern context, at least among my friends, the era of going to the parlor for a sing-along is dead.
Yeah.
Now, church music actually marked, as you mentioned, some of my happiest moments. I first learned to harmonize singing hymns with my family. My most memorable marker of growing up was when I first started singing the bass line of hymns next to my dad.
Really?
Even if I couldn't quite get to the lowest notes.
Yeah.
And the music was always the most emotionally rousing part of the church service. It was when
when you say the most,
well, Well,
when
look,
none of the others were at all.
right.
Yes.
We were Mormon, so everything else in church was just a cavalcade of handmade, organic, artisan crafted boredom. So
Yes.
when it came to the best part of church, there wasn't really a lot of competition.
That's like saying the most rousing part of the ketamine hole.
Right, exactly. Yes, it's the funnest part of sitting on a park bench.
Yeah.
Anyway, I admit to quite a bit of nostalgia around the music of that sort of bygone religious era. And I know I'm not alone in this. You two notwithstanding, I've asked lots of atheists what they miss about their church days, and the second most popular answer, right after, "Are you insane? Why would I miss anything about that toxic bullshit?" is the music. But even with all of these genuinely fond memories that I have of singing in the pews, I now have a much clearer perspective, which, well, looking back at religion from an atheist point of view is kind of like waking up on the bathroom floor of a nightclub in the glaring light of the next day.
Been there.
It's painful,
Yep.
ugly, embarrassing,
Been there.
and all the illusions you had about the magic of that place, the magic that place once held for you, are definitely dispelled.
Right.
So let's unstick our hair from that nasty tile, brush off as much as we can of whatever it is that we're now covered in, wake up the guy who was spooning us. What was his name? I want to say Randy or Sam.
In my instance, it was Charlie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And take a good look at what the hell we were so enchanted by, shall we?
Yes.
Okay. So, from the messaging of the lyrics to the emotional manipulation inherent in the swelling organ chords, it has become clear to me that music is possibly the most effective and nefarious tool in the religious indoctrination and thought control toolbox. Mm-hmm. And if you're thinking, thought control? Come on, this isn't North Korean propaganda we're talking about. Put a pin in that thought. With a few exceptions, every hymn and children's song that I've gone back and revisited has had something in it that was pretty deeply disturbing. Starting with my Mormon childhood, I visited one of my favorite kids' songs, Exmos, consider this your trigger warning. My number one song from my Mormon youth was, bar none, Book of Mormon Stories.
Oh my God.
boy.
Same. You know why I liked it? It had some fucking drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun to sing. It had a unique and driving rhythm.
Yep.
That was definitely not something normal in Mormonism.
Yeah.
But it really made the tune stand out from all the other songs that we were allowed to sing in church. And there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. That rhythm, it turns out, was meant to mimic the drum beat of a Native American powwow. Or at least that's how it sounded to the world's whitest humans.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum,
Dun,
bum,
dun,
bum,
dun.
bum, 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 bum. But this isn't just standard mid-20th century cowboys and Indians racism for fun, but racist fun for no reason. No, there's a point to this racist fun. This song is meant to teach kids that the natives of this part of the world were Jews who came to the Americas in boats, just like the Book of Mormon says.
Yep.
This song it not only indoctrinated us into a nonsense belief from a very silly book, but also helped instill that good old-fashioned racism, and we loved it.
Do you know, Dan, I hadn't thought about that song in so long. You know, decades. And then you and me and Doug and your wife Andrea were at an event where it was an old podcast called My Book of Mormon, where this guy would read Book of Mormon. A non-Mormon read it, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And anyway, to warm up the crowd, there was a whole bunch of people at this live thing. And to warm up the crowd, somebody suggested that we all sing Book of Mormon stories.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, this will be fun. And I forgot the hand motions.
Yeah. I remembered them all.
I didn't remember those. And so all of a sudden, they were dun, 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 dun. And people are putting their fingers up behind their heads like feathers. And
my God.
It was in that moment I'm like, oh my God, it's native. It's supposed to be Native American drum.
Yeah.
I never put that together.
As a kid.
Yeah, no, I had no idea.
Well, and it was funny because
piano.
everyone in the room had the same, like we were all doing the hand motions and singing aloud because, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And you could see everyone's realization all at once. Like,
it just petered out pretty quick.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it's an alarming song.
Leaving religion is a journey, even many decades later.
I'm honestly surprised that wasn't one of the lyrics.
I know, my God.
Okay, so anyway, another song that kids learn in Mormonism is I Am a Child of God, which is a much more somber tune. I was thinking about the lyrics to this one and wasn't really concerned much about it. It's indoctrination, certainly, but just on a sort of core concept level. I'm a child of God, and he has sent me here.
Panspermia.
Boom.
Yeah.
Exactly. Has given me an earthly home and with parents kind and dear. Now, I'm guessing the parents kind of dear line might have caused a bit of cognitive dissonance for many kids. Maybe
It did for me, yes.
But it's church, so cognitive dissonance is par for the course.
Well, because assholes doesn't rhyme with sent me here.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, it wasn't until I thought about the second verse of that song that I started to see how easily toxic ideas can be slipped into music. I am a child of God, and so my needs are great. Help me to understand his words before it grows too late. Now, it'd be very easy to dismiss this as harmless, but this introduces a couple of the most destructive themes of religious music, and they are pandemic throughout the religious canon. First, there's the my needs are great. In other words, we are needy, we are insufficient beings, unequal to the task of living without divine help. Then there's the phrase, before it grows too late.
Yeah.
Introducing the notion of impending doom.
The ticking clock.
If we don't get our shit together soon, we are fucked.
Yeah.
Now, that combination of personal weakness and imminent disaster turn out to be the hook and barb of religious brainwashing. Literally, that is how they get you and how they keep you. Now, just to demonstrate how common these concepts are in Christian music, not just Mormon, I went to hymnary.org, which is a database of Christian songs, which, by the way, has seen a huge uptick in use since the pandemic started. So,
Oh, has it?
I guess the era of singing at home is back.
Okay.
Hooray! Anyway, yeah, it's like doubled. It's crazy. Anyway, I wanted to see if I could figure out a way to see how important the concept of human feebleness was in Christian music. So I searched out a word that I knew was in at least a couple songs, but that is almost never used in everyday language. I typed wretch. The search yielded almost 4,000 instances of the word wretch or wretched used in their database.
You're kidding. And this is all just Christian music?
Yeah.
Wow.
Come ye sinners, poor and wretched. Sin hath undone our wretched race. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Yeah.
I got the idea for doing this segment from a friend of the show, Terry, on Facebook. Hi, Terry. She posted about how church music can, in her words, quote, make a depressed person or even a healthy person filled with shame and self-loathing.
Oh, for sure.
Now, she pointed to a blog post about a Christian pop song called So Long, Self, which is a fun, upbeat little ditty by a group called Mercy Me. Think Smash Mouth, but without all the coolness and respectability. So Long Self is literally a breakup song. The singer has had enough and is finally leaving himself. Which, how would one even do that? But he realizes that he is awful and is finally ready to make a clean break. Here's the chorus of the song now. See if you can follow the math here. So long, self. Well, it's been fun, but I have found somebody else. So long, self. There's just no room for two, so you are going to have to move. So long, self. Don't take this wrong, but you are wrong for me. Farewell. Oh, well, goodbye. Don't cry. Whoa, so long, self.
So what is is this a suicide song? Like,
right?
How do you separate yourself from yourself? I don't understand this.
Yeah, and then someone else gets to move in? I'm not really sure.
That's possession? What is happening?
We've taken the concept of self-loathing to a very special new place. Yeah. Not to mention coming up with a very novel solution to the problem. Now, I'm no psychologist, but I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure the song is recommending that the key to accepting God and living a good life is a full-on psychotic break.
Yeah, well, listen, if I had known that breaking up with me was possible, I would have done it years ago.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I certainly would have done it in the last 9 months.
Yeah. Amen, brother. Another song that Terry pointed to is a number called Unworthy. It goes a little bit like this. Unworthy am I of the grace that he gave, unworthy to hold his hand, amazed that a king would reach down to a slave. This love I cannot understand. Unworthy, unworthy, a beggar, in bondage and alone, but he made me worthy, and now by his grace, his mercy has made me his own.
That's deeply problematic.
That is as overt as it gets.
Yeah.
I am a willing slave, and the only value that I have is because Jesus deigns to say I have
and I'm a willing slave, not by anything I've done.
No.
Just because, it's the old Hitchens thing. Why worship a God that creates you sick and commands you to get well?
Right.
Right.
Just you are born into slavery and expected to say thank you.
Yeah, exactly. You were born garbage, and you're welcome.
And that's exactly. Over and over, believers are not just taught, but proclaim loudly themselves that they are bullshit garbage people.
Yeah.
And are only made acceptable through their association with their dear and fluffy Lord. And that's the part of this. That's part of the thing about music. Somebody can say a thing to you or at you all they want, but there's something very different about those words coming solemnly out of your own fucking mouth.
Yeah.
You're singing for any number of reasons. There's lots of social pressure to sing at church, or you might be like me and think singing is fun.
Yeah.
But what's happening at the same time is that you're engaging these words and concepts actively. You're saying this stuff out loud.
Yes, you're saying it out loud in front of your community. So it's a furtherance of in-grouping, right?
Yeah.
It's a furtherance of that tribe becoming more and more codified. You're doing it as a communal exercise.
100%.
Yeah.
And not only that, but again, I'm not a psychologist, but there's something very powerful about you saying it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It not just hearing it, but you saying it. One of the reasons that I know that there's something powerful about all of this is that I am still affected by these songs. As an adult, look, I don't go to church very often, but when I have, I've usually wanted to blend in. So when the time comes and everybody picks up their hymnal, I do the same. And here's the thing. It makes me feel all kinds of feelings. I've had to stop singing more than once, either because I found the concepts disturbing and felt it was wrong to sing them, or because I actually started tearing up. Like, I feel like I am 1,000,000 years and 2 lifetimes away from my religious days. But I'll be damned if those songs can't sometimes take me right back to the huge emotions that I associate with all of that
that's
nonsense.
the intensity of the programming. That music, as you've clearly laid out here, is an incredibly effective programming device. Like way back, I don't remember what episode, when I covered Benny Hinn, right? That ridiculous fraud with the kind of pre-Trump hair. But his services, his crazy like miracle cure services, start with, like, before he even comes out, there's like 2 hours of organ music and singing.
Yeah.
And just as you come in and take your seat and then you find you're just kind of communing with this huge stadium full of people. Well, part of what it does is you're all breathing in the same patterns at the same time, right? There is an
there's almost a trance nature to it.
Exactly right. There's a hypnotic sort of sensibility to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the power of music in general, right? It talks directly to the emotion-y parts of our brains, completely bypassing the thinky parts.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be religious. You can have this at any sort of music event,
And that's what we love about music.
Right.
It puts us in a different frame of mind. But the thing is that because of that, it's so easy to use it to manipulate people.
Especially children, yeah.
But anybody, I mean, for a demonstration of this, go out and find a video where someone has removed the musical score from a famous movie. There's a fun video that has a scene from Jaws without the John Williams music, and then you see it again with a live orchestra playing it. It's just obvious how super powerful music is.
Yeah, it's an emotional cue in movies.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a shortcut. It gets the filmmakers into your emotions.
Yep.
Whereas, if you choose, and some filmmakers have chosen to make films without scores, but they're doing it on purpose to try and just stay in your head rather than going directly to your emotions.
Yeah.
Now you add some words to that music, and I think you have a cocktail for a very special brand of fuck you up.
Of manipulation, sure.
Sure. I mean, look, why don't you just upload that insanely self-loathing idea directly into the part of my brain that can't properly analyze it? That sounds healthy.
Yeah, like you think of a song like Amazing Grace, which is, to me, objectively a beautiful song. Like, it's very pretty, and the history of, that there's some kind of liberation ideas around it and that sort of thing. But, it's a saved a wretch like me.
Yeah.
It's a reinforcement of your insignificance.
Your wretchedness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
100%.
that's leaving aside, of course, and I don't know if you're going to go there, Dan, but the connection to memory that music has, which is very unique, and it's easy to demonstrate. If you hear a song, and this happens to me all the time. I'm listening to music, and I hear a song I haven't heard in a decade. I'll remember the words.
Yeah.
And
songs I haven't heard since high school will come on the radio, and I'm just like, and then they went to
and I
smoked the thing.
Yep, I immediately pick up the lyrics.
It's why I can name all the states in alphabetical order.
Right. But if I read a newspaper article or something 10 years later, I'm not going to remember it if you show it to me.
Right. No.
But so these little triggers are in our brain, stuck there.
It goes directly to something different, to a different part of our brain.
To an emotional center rather than a logical one necessarily.
Yep.
Right.
But it's in there. Like, when, like all of us, a room full of atheists, former Mormons, we all remembered the words to Book of Mormon stories perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
And realized at the same time that this entire time, this very racist song has just been lying dormant in my head.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's fucked up.
That's not
You
fun.
guys, when we did one of the Gamcasts, you guys, and I don't remember this song, weirdly, but you guys just broke out in singing that Mormon prophet song.
Oh, yeah. We can name all of the Mormon prophets up until a certain... I mean, it means that we can name them all because it was up until our childhood.
I'll tell you right now, I remember all the books of the Bible and the Book of Mormon because, first and second books of Nephi, Jeremiah, Enos... Oh, fuck, now I fucked it up.
I think you said Henos. I'm just going to say you said Henos.
Jacob, Enos, Jerem, Omni. Words of, so you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how it does connect to memory.
Yeah.
But it makes it all the more nefarious that these are messages about, I don't think they're necessarily rattling around in there making us have less self-worth, but they're in there.
Oh, they're definitely making us have less self-worth. Anyway, I'm going to say one thing that is nice about being a Mormon, though. And that is that, fellas, we got to miss all the really fucked up songs about Jesus's blood. Yikes.
Yeah.
Remember how Wretch came up almost 4,000 times on that hymn website?
Yep.
Well, the word blood comes up almost 25,000 times.
Jesus.
Sample titles include, but are not limited to, there is a fountain filled with blood, washed in the blood, power in the blood, Jesus, thy blood and righteousness, not all the blood of beasts. When I see the blood, it was the blood, in the blood from the cross, oh, blood, the blood of Jesus, blood of the Lamb, and of course, the blood. Which, by the way, something I learned is that if you write the word blood a lot of times, it totally does. It's blued, and then it doesn't mean anything anymore. In conclusion, we are all deeply fucked up by church songs, and go back to therapy in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And then to go on the way out, Dan will sing us a song.
Yes, indeed, right. But hopefully one that we don't.
Islands in the Stream.
For.
Here we go. All right.
Here we go. 2, 3, 4.
Let's move on.